Mike Bithell did something I find particularly inspiring about narrative game design. Thomas Was Alone is perhaps one of the most enlightening games I've ever experienced, and it's not so much because of deep, complex game mechanics or detailed visuals, but more so because of its simplicity. Visual Communication 101 works like this. Take the shape or form of text, signs, symbols, or even moving images, and what you get is a personalized subjective response. When I first studied animation and visual narrative in general, what really intrigued me about the use of shape, colour, and composition was not so much how they looked, more so than how they made the audience feel. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm not shy of my interpretation of small details. A square is just a four-sided shape, but when you put it next to a rectangle, suddenly you've created a hierarchy. The rectangle hypothetically dominates the square. The same analysis can be applied to a triangle and a circle. The sharp tip of the triangle makes the circle seem more vulnerable. Our own identification with reality thus influences the context of the visuals that we are perceiving. For me personally, where Thomas Was Alone stands in this regards is how its simple shapes represent my own identity, my own emotions, my own personality traits, and that typical social ineptitude that makes me human. At its heart, we have Thomas, someone passionate for self-discovery, yet throughout his journey, he suffers the lows of doubt and insecurity, but as he encounters obstacles and interacts with others, he gradually embraces who he is, and thus we bring out the positives. Thomas acknowledges his lack of self-worth, loneliness, and how good he is at falling, disparaging himself in the process. But his first obstacle highlights that there is no real danger in trying, and instead, he is actively encouraged to risk a leap of faith to succeed. It's one of life's touching moments. You have nothing to lose in overcoming an obstacle, and it's important to understand that the world isn't always against you. I'm a negative thinker. I think a lot. Most of the time, I think too much. I'm so used to expecting the worst out of everything that when something good happens, I'm even more thankful for it. Whereas when something bad does happen, at least I was prepared. Have you ever felt that moment? That time when you wondered if what you're doing is paying off? It could be in revising for an exam, learning a new skill, or simply how you spend your free time. As the game progresses, we begin to see Thomas fearing for how big and complicated the world is becoming, but gradually he starts to understand that it's simply preparing him. When he meets Chris, the smaller, less skilled square, we start to realise the importance of human cooperation and teamwork. Chris dislikes Thomas, out of jealousy and spite, as Thomas has better abilities. But over the course of their interactions, they realise that they need each other. They are companions who can overcome obstacles together. Simply put it, you can't do everything alone, and you shouldn't block out trusting others, as friends and other acquaintances will always be there to support and help guide you through life. Similarly, Sarah, who believes she is superior than the rest of them, her abilities aren't exactly that useful without the support of others. Alone, they might excel in their fields of expertise, but together, they can conquer any obstacle. For a long time, I quite related to Laura's character. She has similar distrust issues in that she dwells on previous negative experiences and she's afraid of the same results. Her potential new friends might use her and then abandon her. But in essence, we use these experiences to counteract any potential negativities in the future, as she begins to trust and value people once again, understanding that it takes time to find the right people to share your life with. It's these little moments that Bithell captures so well. The player isn't simply thrown into a world to solve puzzles. Instead, Thomas Was Alone isolates the emotional core of growing up, and creates small capsules of life's greatest struggles, successes, and the ultimate unknowingness that we all have to accept. I like to use Claire's character as a great metaphor for the pros and cons for growing up with uncertainty for the future. She submits to her inevitable fate that this is the end. The foundation she stands on crumbles and falls apart as she falls deeper and deeper, not really knowing if she'll ever come back from it. No longer is she on top of the world or on a platform to be admired from. She accepts that not everything always works out as planned. But what's great is that when she finally hits that breaking point, she discovers hope. She realizes her uniqueness, her quality that others can adore, something that can make her feel good about herself and something to strive further for. Something which Thomas and his friends do is realize the potential they have, and work together to achieve something great. In particular, they leave their mark on the world for others to follow in their path and inspire from. From level 8, the grey shapes take on the colours that represent Thomas and his friends, to encourage them to reach the fountain of wisdom. The sacrifice that Thomas and his friends make is for the sake of others, and the sacrifices we make in life are usually for the greater good. Ryan, a civil rights campaigner in the game, even states that their fate was inevitable, and they embraced it with selflessness. Basically, why not go out of this world having left a positive impression on others? When I think of the people I care about, it's how their personality influences me that makes me who I am. And that's what I love about Thomas Was Alone. Here we have basic shapes given big personalities, and when combined as a single unit, they achieve greatness. The shapes are the basic backdrop to my own picture of life. To me, this is the essence of Thomas Was Alone. No matter what you're going through, you will always be useful to others, and your true friends will always be there for you. When we think of art, we think of Picasso, we think of Da Vinci, we think of Van Gogh, but today, many of us are quite the opposite. When I think of art, I think of the likes of Bithell, someone who continues the cycle of visual profoundness. So here's my question I'll leave to you. What game inspires you and left a lasting impact? And most of all, what game do you believe represents who you are? As crazy as it sounds, there's always something so endearing about someone being able to make a shape seem like your best friend.